blackboard and they pulled it down like a blank. It had all the combinations of letters for phonics, but there was two rows of little red chairs. You know, we were real little kids in the first grade, and every day we got up with the teacher. I remember her name was Miss Morris. She says, "First grade, stand past the little red chairs." You know, a semicircle in the little red
What do you remember about your principal?
My principal was Mr. Sudage, and I remember having lots of talks with him, and some of the times